Welcome to the Game of Life podcast, where we bring you inspiring softball stories, insightful tips from coaches and players, and explore how the game transcends its boundaries to become a metaphor for life. Whether you're a sports enthusiast, a casual fan, or someone just looking for inspiration, you're in for a treat. We'll unravel the tales that go beyond the scoreboard. Discover how perseverance and hard work on the field translates into resilience in your daily challenges. Learn about teamwork, leadership, and the unwavering spirit that fuels success, not just in sports, but in the game of life. All right, Allie, welcome. We're excited. 2 weeks until our first ever Game of Life camp. Signups have been going well. Prep's been going well. We ordered a sunny day, so that's going well.
They're hard to come
And
by.
yeah, so other than that, talk to us. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm super excited. I think, we've heard a lot of excitement from people who have signed up so far. So just want to chat a little bit more today about that and basically what the Game of Life stands for and what it is. I think, if you're someone out there who's kind of questioning signing up, we just kind of want to talk to you about what it is. And it's going to be a really exciting day. I think nonetheless, you're going to learn a lot about softball, but you're also going to learn a lot about adversity and life skills as well. I think the one thing we want to mention too, like, coaching mechanics is one of my favorite parts of the game as well. So there's obviously going to be that, non-physical piece of adversity and recruiting and career choices, assets versus liabilities. But then there's also going to be a lot of actual softball skill in it as well, because that's what I spend a lot of my time out in Illinois doing now. I love coaching. I love coaching hitting. I love coaching fielding. I bring energy to it. So we're really excited for that piece as well. And I think if you're someone who comes to this camp or your kid comes to this camp, they're going to get a lot of physical softball takeaways from it as well, which is
No, I'm super excited. And the way we're going to have it set up with some of the contests and challenges is softball. You have to make a lot of decisions in softball, but the trick is you don't know when you have to make those decisions sometimes. So every play, you're making decisions in your head. You might use what, three of them throughout the game, depending where you play, or four of them. And we'll do a lot of IQ, think on your feet, situational type stuff, which again will transfer to everything you do in life too, if you can make decisions and prep and be ready. So I'm excited for that as well.
yeah. And I think too, there's a lot of, different reasons you could come to this camp. It could be, I want to have a better attitude. I want to be a better softball player. I want to get recruited. I want to, right? There's no one size fits all approach to this, which I think is the really exciting thing. You and I were talking about earlier, we're purely just doing this because we love softball and we want to help people. I think, the one thing to mention too is obviously you and I both were in collegiate athletics and we have our story, but we also have this huge community of people around us who also have their own stories. So like we've been able to pull from all of that knowledge as well and get a really good gist of kind of what goes on in collegiate athletics. So it's not just going to be, oh, here's Allie's story that's going to work for everybody. It's this compilation of all the stories we've heard, all the people in our lives, all the college coaches that we know, right? It's going to be all the knowledge we've gained from all of those different resources and all of those different areas kind of coming into one knowledge pool in this camp as well.
Yeah, we've learned so much along the way, and we've built a foundation and acquired a lot of resources that we're ready to pay it forward. And in the meantime, we build a huge amount of relationships that not only provide value for us, that we still feel we provide value to them. And that's one of the big things. We want to teach young individuals how to start building your network and having that be the case for you. And in the meantime, use some of our networks and relationships to help them get started.
Yeah, I think too, a lot of what we'll address, I think, growing up, at least for me in the athletic community, there's a lot of things that people say you should be good at, or that are important, but then they don't really talk about. So a lot of people focus on the physical piece, which I just mentioned that I love, right? Mechanics are very important in whatever sport you play. But I think, by the time you get to middle school, high school, people say, well, the mental game is just as important as the physical game. Well, if that's true, why don't we spend as much time on it? Why don't we spend any time on it? I think people also say you need to save money, you need to start saving money young, but nobody talks about money when you're young. So we're just kind of taking those pieces that I feel are disconnects, right, in the young athletic community, and we're just trying to introduce them to folks early on because that's something, me and a lot of my friends I've talked to kind of wish we knew looking back. We wish we had a different perspective or we wish we knew these type of things. It's, to relate it to mechanics, I always growing up would joke coaches, you're hitting, someone's like, stay in your legs. You're not using your legs. You're like, what do you mean? They're like, well, just stay in your legs. But how do I stay? Like, how do I do some of this stuff? So I think the how to part is what we're going to really get to the next level of. So hopefully that was a good analogy that maybe related to some people, but I think whether it comes to mechanics or more of those intangible things, coaches like to make a lot of, generalizations about this is important, that's important, but where's that next level click, next level deep dive into how you achieve some of those things? How do you practice being mentally tough? We practice everything on the physical side, but how do you practice handling adversity? So that's kind of what we're going to talk about as some tools and drawing from experiences in our lives and those around us of things that maybe we didn't handle well or we wish we handled differently or tools that we utilize to get us to handle hard better, like we've mentioned in a lot of our podcasts, or handle adversity. So I'll pivot back to you, but I think it's just those pieces that everybody knows are important, but we as an athletic community don't spend enough time on.
Oh, yes. And that's what I'm excited about. You go to a hitting lesson once a week, or when I went to golf lessons once a week, or a pitching lesson, fielding lesson, agility. That's great. But you have to continue to replicate that process throughout the week before your next lesson, right? So you come to our camp and we're going to be sending home some materials with you, some accountability stuff, some exercises, some things that will help you continue to practice what you learned that day. And then consistently using these materials, hopefully you'll grow, but you have to keep working at it. Like the camp's not a one day fix. Camp's not a one day fix for softball. It's not a one day fix to get recruited. It's not a one day fix to start on your high school team or travel team, but it's going to set you in that direction and give you the tools to work on that. So we're going to do exactly all that stuff you were saying.
Exactly. And I know we've mentioned like softball is the vehicle, not the destination. And what we mean by that is it's going to set you up for different areas of your life. I mean, you and I have talked about this a lot. Since I've ended softball, all adversity in my life hasn't gone away, despite what some people might think. It's just you learn to handle things differently. There's new adversity that comes into your life, but it's because of the skill set and the tools I gained through playing softball that I'm able to walk through this adversity in my life, even though it looks a little bit different. So I think that's a thing too. Like all of our examples aren't going to be softball based because we all have other things going on in our lives that have nothing to do with hitting a yellow ball or catching a yellow ball either. And I think that gets lost sometimes, especially at the high school, middle school age.
It's the game of life. Softball is one game of the hundreds and hundreds of games you're going to play in your life. If you think of every experience as a game. And when we were last together as a family a little while ago, we were joking about all the hard times we've been through with sports and athletics and how sometimes you could have coworkers today that get all spastic about the littlest thing and they don't have anything else to relate it to or add perspective to. And you do because you use softball as the vehicle and not the destination. We were having some good laughs at a family as a family, but they weren't that funny at the time.
No, not at all. Time helps with the laughter on some of those, I think. But I
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
pivot to a little bit about kind of what our philosophy is from a technical coaching perspective as well, because I think for people who maybe haven't seen us in that lens before, it's something they might be curious about. So I can kind of start off, and I know we're pretty similar, but maybe we can touch on the way we approach the physical part of the game as well. So I think for me, coaching hitting is one of my favorite things. I think there's a lot I'm a very detail-oriented person, I'm a very analytical person, so being able to analyze swings and, make players better in that regard is something that I get really excited about, which hopefully you can hear through the computer phone wherever you're listening right now. But I think for me, right? It's not a one size fits all approach. Hitting is not every player needs swing needs to look the same, everybody needs to load the same, everybody needs to have the same routine. I think if you watch the College World Series, you just know that that's not true, right? So there's avenues of ways to get to success, and I believe that that looks different for every player. The one thing that I do truly believe is that there's aspects of a swing that every really good hitter has. So there's a few different parts of a swing that may look a little different, but they all get to a stretch in their load. They all turn their barrel well. They all use their lower half well. They get their hip coiled. So there's different things in your swing that all hitters do, right? If you're going to be successful and you watch a College World Series game or you watch girls at college, successful high school players, whatever level you want to pick, girls who are having successful outcomes for the most part have three, four things in their swing that are working for them really well. So that's kind of what I focus on as a coach. I think the other thing is any drill that I ever have a player do, there's a reason behind it, and I'm going to tell you what it is. It's not just because I said so. I think that's one of the silliest things that coaches can do is ask a girl to do a drill. They don't understand why they're doing it, and the coach just said, because I said so, and you need to do it. I think it's really hard for players to get better at a drill if they don't know what the purpose of it is. So any drill that we do, I'll relate back to one of those 3 or 4 things that are really important for every good hitter to have, because I think the more that you learn your own swing, where we go back to providing a toolkit, right? We're gonna give you the tools to take away from that day to say, "Hey, of the 3, 4 parts of my swing that or of a swing that every good hitter needs to have, I'm really good at these 2 already. One of these needs a lot of work and one I'm okay at." Like, that's kinda where we want you to get so you can start to feel what different pieces of your swing work and then what maybe you need to work better on. Because I think some coaches like to either give you the same critique over and over every single time, or they critique something different in every at bat you have, which is also really frustrating. I've had coaches that have done all of the above. So I'll pivot to you with that, but just wanted to give some insight into kind of how I think about that.
No, it's the same philosophy. I mean, we went through your journey together, right? Uh, but I always ask players what their favorite drill is, and when they start doing it, I ask them why they're told to do it, and 9 times out of 10, they have no idea. So, I'm with you. Why? And if you play for somebody that gets mad when you question them, respectfully, not like, "Oh, why are we doing this?" Like, "Hey, coach,
Yeah.
I don't understand this, like, what's the point behind this drill?" Like, you should know what you're working on. And I want people to have the IQ and the intellect, the courage, the coping mechanisms to be able to do that and understand, are people really helping you or are they just bossing you around for X, Y, or Z reason? And yeah, so the philosophy is the same. So I'm super excited.
Yeah. I think too from a fielding perspective, not to only give love to hitting because we love fielding as well. I think I love being energetic in defense practice and fielding practice. I think it's an area that you can build a lot of self confidence, a lot of team camaraderie. But I think when it comes to the fielding side, I mentioned we're detail oriented people. So I think, we've mentioned the quote in our podcast a lot, how you do anything is how you do everything. So when it comes to fielding, there's a reason every days are called every days. There's a reason that you see major league players doing these drills that your coaches want you to
Yes.
do. And I think one of the things that, I talk to girls about all the time is, okay, if you're going through the motions of doing all these drills that coaches tell you to do, but you don't like them because you're boring, half the time we're not even doing them right. So you're doing them every day, but it's not getting you anywhere because there's no intent behind what you're doing. I'd rather have you do 10 good ground balls with intention than go to the field for 3 hours and just go through the motions of it. So that's some of the stuff when we talk about accountability and adversity we're going to talk about is, are you doing things with intention or are you just doing them to check off the box and say that you did them and tell people that you practice 6 times this week for 3 hours?
A funny drill you can do to prove if people aren't putting their best foot forward or effort, you could have them run around the bases, and then you say, "Okay, we're gonna end practice if everybody can do it faster the next time." And then everybody will do it faster the next time. And then you're like, "Okay, you just proved to me you don't always try your best." And when you're going through a lot of everydays and drills and things that are designed fundamentally to get you better, you have to have that intent and that effort. And, you know, we'll see how it goes that day, but that's going to be our focus as well. It's really the game of life for the love of it, the enjoyment, the process, the journey, and like we said, keep saying it's the vehicle, not the destination. But that said, while you're driving the vehicle called softball, you take it very seriously and want to do very well.
Yeah,
We're not blowing that off, but there's a
100%.
bigger picture. So
Absolutely. And I think if you're someone out there who still has questions on what the camp is or you're thinking about signing up for it, definitely feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to answer any questions you have and excited to meet a lot of you out there.
again, our website's gameoflife247.com, and it has links to all the information, contact information, subscriber list to our newsletter that's going to come out next week, most likely, and camp information. So we'll check in next week, Allie, and 2 weeks from today, we'll have this in the past and we'll build from there.
Awesome. Thanks. Thanks, everyone.
All right, bye.
Bye.